What's going on, guys? How are you? I am Wei Koh, and this is Bandit Koh. She is the Revolution Watch Bar dog. She is our official mascot, and in her own right, a fount of knowledge for all things horological, right, Bandit? She agrees, yes. Greetings. And joining us today is Robin Tallendier, who is one half of the extraordinary team that comprises the founding fathers of Atelier Wen. How are you, sir?
I'm very good, thank you. Thanks a lot for having me today. Hi, Bandit.
Hello, Robin. How are you?
Yeah, very nice seeing you
Bonjour.
again. Bonjour. Oh, it's a multilingual Bandit.
She's bilingual.
It's Bondi.
Bondi. Yes, parce que j'ai un petit masque.
Ah bah oui. Still.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm very fine. Well, yeah, thanks a lot for having me today.
So, talk to me a little bit about this journey you've been on. I mean, I would imagine for your co-founder, Wilfred, and yourself, it must be like a kind of a whirlwind roller coaster ride.
Yeah, no, it's been quite the journey. I mean, we can't really believe like the sort of like evolution we went through from the moment we launched the watch, the Perception Story in 2022, till now. It's like two different worlds. At the beginning, we were like tiny. Just the two of us trying to launch one watch, and since then we've grew like way beyond what we could have expected. So that's really great, and it's also really cool for our mission to really push the idea of recognition of Chinese craftsmanship, Chinese culture. We feel that the more people we have wearing our watches, appreciating them, the more eventually like appreciation there will be for everything Chinese culture and craftsmanship. So yeah. Quite the journey.
I think that's the thing that was so captivating about your shared vision with Wilfred for the brand, because I think for many years people had always perceived as made in China as being an unattractive label when it came to watches, right?
Yeah.
It was about sourcing inexpensive parts. It wasn't about really quality, and certainly not about craftsmanship. And so I think the really cool thing about Atelier Wen was the idea of repositioning Chinese watchmaking as proudly made in China and showcasing what Chinese craftsmen and the watch industry was capable of. I mean,
yeah, and it was, it's even beyond like made in China. It's like this whole idea of created in China, like really positioning China not just as a manufacturing places, because even when we launched that watch, we could see more and more brands are slowly starting to be open about where they make stuff. But for us, it was also to show that it's not just about making, it's also about creating, because there's a lot of like creativity. There's an insanely rich culture over there, and why isn't it celebrated? Like, why isn't there any proudly created Chinese watch? And this is also what we try to do, bringing it to the forefront, and we can see that people resonate with it, which is really awesome. We can also see that there are more and more brands who are like positioning themselves like more openly about doing things in China, and that's great, because I think the more of us there are, like the bigger the ecosystem will be, the more visibility and recognition there will be, and the better off we will all be. Yeah.
Well, Robin, let's talk about the journey of the Perception. This was the second model that you guys launched.
Yeah, that was the second one.
And it was, for me, a really interesting combination of an integrated bracelet sports chic watch, but with a dial that was created by an extraordinary guilloche master, and autodidact. So he taught himself how to do it as well. Created his own machine, and that is, of course, Master Cheng.
Yeah.
Tell me about how this came about, this sort of wonderful, heady, and sort of like delicious combination of contemporary design, sport chic, integrated bracelet plus craft.
I would say it was a very happy accident. I mean, we knew we wanted to go into the integrated bracelet sport chic category like very early on. Like, we released our first watch in 2018. In 2019, we started working on Perception, and we could see that it was already sort of a growing trend. So we felt, okay, this is the direction we need to follow. Initially, though, we didn't want to do guilloche because we were sort of bound by the idea that for our watch to be successful, it would need to be under a certain price point, which wouldn't really allow guilloche. So first we were looking for stamp dials. We sort of like gave up on the idea. Then CNC dials, and that was the time when those were still like fairly rare in China. So by chance, we talked to someone in Beijing called David Wei, who told us that CNC is kind of crap, but there's the real deal in mainland. There's one guy who can actually make guilloche dials, and back then he was really the first and the only one doing this in the country, and that was Master Cheng. So we approached Cheng. We sort of like tried to see how we could work with him. It was a rocky journey. Initially, he removed us from social media because he thought we were a scam. And then he had never made watches. He was a guy making like lighters, pens, balls, plates. But there was a whole like very long learning process about how to make those patterns, but to a way smaller scale with way more like tolerances, less tolerances, sorry, for defects, scratches, irregularities. But yeah, eventually we made it. So the product that came out was very different from what we initially envisioned. It was more expensive. It was way more ambitious, I feel, way more distinctive. But we could see that the resonance was great. And we could also see that for the first time, it was a watch that was embraced by third parties, such as you guys, such as also WristCheck, such as like a bunch of other medias who really also helped us like push it. But it was the first time this happened. We didn't have that with our first porcelain models. Yes, so I would say there was really a good crystallization of a lot of things that would resonate with people.
Yeah, I think that the perspective you took, I guess the perception that you arrived at was a very unique one. It's funny also because I think we're in a challenging time in the watch industry right now. And I think the question everyone's asking when you see how many watch brands that have sort of emerged like mushrooms in the forest after like a rainstorm, is what is the raison d'etre of these various brands, right? And sometimes when I look at brands, I'm not really sure, I mean, there's so many of them now. But certainly with Atelier Wen, I think this idea of proudly made in China, and there's also this combination of a very contemporary perspective on traditional craft is something that has created a very nice foundation for you. Let me ask you this. So, you've done primarily Guilloche dials. Will you be limited to this, or are you also exploring other crafts as you move forward?
No. We're definitely exploring a lot of other craft. Really, the way we want to position the brand is Chinese culture and craftsmanship. So craftsmanship, China is super rich, super deep for that. It's taking us a lot of time because I mean we're like fairly strict and picky with the watches we develop. We want to continuously sort of like bring up the envelope. So yeah, I mean we've been like doing R&D for about 3 years for a bunch of new series. Most of those new series will not use guilloche, they will use other craft. I think there will be some of the usual suspects of China, like enamel, but also some more unexpected ones. But really what we want to do is to have this maybe like network of craftsmen who are the best in the country for what they do, who are world class, because for instance, for enamel, like I think you have some of the best enamelers in the world who are Chinese. And then we want to really work with them to make things that are, not just like application of what I've been doing to a watch format, but more like a collective effort together to rethink how we can take those very ancient, those very like traditional skills and tweak them to create something that is truly modern. And to me, that would be the true partnerships we can have with those craftsmen. And that would be what's bringing up the most impact, because then suddenly you make the craft extremely relevant.
When you talk about traditional crafts like enamel, you also previously made porcelain dials.
We did.
In the very first watch you created, and that was very well received, if I'm not mistaken. Is that something that you'll bring back?
I think it's like that there's so much in the country that we can afford to keep on exploring. And I would really want to give people, I mean, at the core, why Wilfred and we started the brand. It's because first and foremost, we like Chinese craftsmanship and we like Chinese culture. We think it's deeply interesting. We think it's something that to us like make us happy. And we want other people to also relate to it. And we feel one of the reasons they don't relate to it is because it's scarcely available outside of China. It's maybe not often that well packaged, so people have a hard time understanding what it's about or really getting it. So we want to be people to also experience this. And for us, we need to have a breadth of craftsmanship, a breadth of cultural inspirations for them to really get it. So yeah.
So Robin, what's in this box?
Yeah. I mean, it's a very special watch. Because I mean, if we go back to the story of the tantalum watch made together, initially was not meant to be sold. I think I should give a bit more background, but you were one of the huge supporters of Perception. You ordered the first, 2 LEs without us having even launched the steel watch. It was at your flat in Geneva during Watches and Wonder 2022.
Yeah, exactly.
And you were like, oh, let's make 200, which for us was huge. I think a lot of people knew us through Revolution. It's funny, but like the other day I was conducting job interviews for candidates, and I always ask them like, how did you know about us? And quite a few of them said, "Oh yes, I saw you through Revolution, through Wei Koh." So yeah, so we wanted to thank you. Also, your wedding was coming up, so we thought, "Oh, let's make you a wedding watch, which would sort of be the best of everything we've done so far."
Wow.
So tantalum, the more complex guilloche pattern, the famous 36 hours one, and the red color that seemed to be your favorite. I mean,
Right.
I can see your shot today.
Sure.
But then in Geneva, you saw the tantalum samples in purple, and you were like, let's make those 25 pieces together. So we made them. That was a great idea. Sold super well. People were happy. But then, for your own watch, we had to make something a bit different. And we made you a piece unique that is not exactly like the one we sold, but that is indeed more unique. So if you want, we can have a look at it. I'll let you
So I think what we were discussing, because my wedding was in Los Angeles last year, and it was held at my wife's favorite hotel, because she kind of grew up in the neighborhood, the Beverly Hills Hotel, which is very pink.
Yeah.
And so then the theme of our wedding became a touch of pink, and myself and all my groomsmen wore black tuxedos with pink evening shirts.
Okay.
And so I think that this idea of pink, and especially contrasted with sort of the stealthy hue of tantalum, became an idea that we began discussing.
Yeah.
But Bandit, are you excited? Bandit, you're sleeping. What's going on here? You. I think Bandit really is sleeping.
Yeah. I talk too much.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So I'm Robin, I'm ashamed to say I'm so old that I actually need to put these old man glasses on to actually look at the watch.
Yeah, so you can see it's the same pattern as the one we did. It's the 36-hour pattern,
Right.
which in my opinion is the best of all the patterns we've made. But the color, we went for a hybrid between like salmon and pink.
Yes.
We tried to make pink, but it was a bit too pinkish. We then tried to make it like darker, but it was too much like the red. So
Right.
we thought like this copperish pink was maybe the best one.
Atelier Wen Perception concept and tantalum, just unique for Wei Koh. Thank you for the support, Robin and Wilfred. That's fantastic, man. Thank you so much.
The little message.
I love it. That's super cool.
Thank you.
That's amazing. You know, it's phenomenal. I mean, this colorway with like the hue of tantalum is really quite stunning.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Robin, thank you. Congratulations on all the success
My
for
pleasure.
Atelier Wen, for the Perception. I guess one question people would have is I know you're coming towards at the end of this chapter.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say for the watch as we know it?
Yeah.
Might there be a future evolution, or?
I think there will be an evolution of perception, but it will be a significant evolution. I think perception, as it is now, it's sort of the end of that chapter. For the tantalum, there will also be a new series that's hopefully coming up soon.
Wow!
But yeah, it's a big new chapter that will commence.
Fantastic. Well, we're looking forward to seeing everything you do, and again, congratulations on the success.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for this extraordinary timepiece, which I will share with both Bandit and my wife, BB. And on behalf of us here at Revolution, thank you for joining us today. Bandit also thanks you. She would shake your paw.
Oh,
thank you. And then we're signing off now, so Bandit, say goodbye to everyone. Bye, everyone. Bye. Bye.